KIKI présente KIKI Land.
Technology is a very big part of my work. I always try to find ways basically to abuse it instead of only using it, find ways how to make stuff which is not supposed to do, and computers are very forgiving regarding that, so probably that's why this long-lasting love story still continues.
Show me again. Show me again.
When I got my first computer, which was the C64 from Commodore, I fell completely in love about the possibility you had that you could use this basically machine, which is for creative purposes. And those I tried very early to figure out how to use it for graphics. Actually, I mean, the computers, there was more experiments in a way, you know. I was programming and making some things blinking and blobbing and color changes, which at this time was new and was unheard of and fascinated me totally. And as I said, then I used the printer to make like actually art out, not art, but like to make works out of that. And actually, I mean, I think the first things that I would call art, what I did was working with video later, where I did stuff which I filmed the animation or did, like, you know, put it into feedback loops then again, or edited on my very small rudimentary studio, which I had when I was like in my early 20s. I always liked moving images a lot, and computers had been like a very good tool for that. Like the first weekend after the wall came down, I was a friend of mine who worked in this traveling music circus, which was called Die Macht der Nacht. In Paris, it was called Transperie Rêve. And I was blown away from the moment when I came in there. You know, there was like techno music playing or house music playing, acid house. There had been dancers everywhere, projections, like, you know, people dancing in cages, you know, 4,000 people going completely apeshit. And I thought, okay, wow, so this is like, you know, I mean, this is like really, I like it here again, you know. And I started working there actually the weekend after. And I found a mentor there, you know, Peter Rubin, who was like one of the godfathers of VJing, like live video shows. He was like the guy who I saw and was most impressed of, an American artist. And I did start, like at the beginning, I started like doing lights for the artists, which because there was always tons of shows every night. And then I started quite quickly doing my own video installations. And and also met two very good friends of mine, Elsa for Toys and Hao Richter. We started an artist collective later in Berlin together called Media Morph. First of all, we had been in Berlin in 1990, and it was during like also the time with Macht der Nacht. And when we had been in Berlin, it was the first moments of techno there, you know. I mean, it started, and plus the wall was down, so we had like, you know, all these empty places in East Berlin which didn't belong to anybody, you know. There was not even a squat when you moved into something because it was officially not existing, this house, you know. And there was no owner, and so everybody who wanted made a club, you know, small ones for 50 people, big ones for like 1,000, you know. And we. And it was a very creative time also. Like, so what they always had been looking for is like not only a DJ in a corner, like making his music and some lights. There was always decoration. There was always installations. There was multimedia installations. There was video. There had been huge banner installations. You know, so it was a very fluid scene in a way. You know, so I mean, we had people from Chaos Computer Club, you know, which was like the big hacker collective in Germany, and the Hacker Bible, which they brought out, was like one of my. This was also my Bible, you know, and then there was like, you know, I mean, also like things like the whole Earth catalog, which was like also super important. And everybody was just like, you know, I mean, this was like kind of its own little cosmos, you know, because I mean, everybody worked in this club scene and they spend their money in the club scene. You know, I mean, the clubs generated money for us to do our art. It doesn't matter if you had been like somebody who had been making little installations, or if you have been a music producer, or you have been a dancer, or a performer, or if you did multimedia installations. You know, this was like we didn't need anything else, you know, and this created a kind of togetherness in the scene, you know, where we also exchanged intellectually and artistically our ideas, like basically all the time, you know. And for me, this was actually the one of the greatest times I had in Berlin in the 30 years I've been there. That you had the possibility to find space for expression there. Yep. This 3D printer, which I always wanted to do, and I've fell completely in love with the possibilities this machine gives you. You know, it reminded me very much on the early days I had when I started really as a computer artist or video artist. We have suddenly the democratization and accessibility to a mean of production, which we didn't have before. You know, 3D printers exist since a long time, but they cost like tens of thousands of euros, sometimes even hundreds, you know. And now you can buy a machine like that for a couple of hundred. Yeah? I really felt like a loop is closing, you know, because I mean, after all these years working in a commercial environment, I had suddenly the possibility to return to my roots as an artist, and it was not even what I didn't even aim for that, you know. It just fell into my lap, and I was really, really happy about this. I got this residency here in Gare Experimentale, which is really also like a place which reminded me a lot of Die Macht der Nacht, you know, this disco circus, because even if it could use a bit more disco here, I must say. I mean, don't say it too loud, but I think a bit more glitter. But this is really like the same thing, you know, people living here in this space. Everybody's creative, everybody's doing some stuff, you know, and it's such a nice atmosphere. And they offered me a space where I could bring my machines in. I find people I can exchange with, you know, and even with my shitty French, you know, I mean, somehow it works. And I feel very welcome here, and I'm looking forward to have my very first exhibition, not my very first performance, but my very first exhibition in Paris on the 9th of December, la Gare Experimentale, 19 Boulevard des Serruriers.
19 Boulevard Serruriers.
Merci.
So, and this exhibition is going to be called KIKI Land Part 1. Can you tell us more about KIKI Land Part 1?
I mean, Kiki Land is about Kiki Booom. Kiki Booom is a little confused, slightly angry bunny, which I actually designed very early in the lockdown in Berlin, but never managed to make it see the light of day. But she has a bit of an addiction problem, you know. And this is maybe has something to do with her quite abusive social media consume, that she's always like looking forward to, like, you know, likes, or I mean, she's like very much into doom scrolling, you know, like Twitter is very bad for her.
Show me again. Show me again. 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 Show me again.
And she became actually quite famous for her azulejos, which is like Spanish blue tiles. There's going to be a huge azulejo installation there. It's called Chaos Engine, and it's basically, that's kind of her essence, if you see it, you know, and basically just 2 sentences and her in the middle, and yeah, this is like something. And then she has like 12 mantras. Her 12 mantras are pinned on a wall, which you can also see, and you can meditate alone or together with her in front of it. I need a sip of water because my mouth is a bit dry from all this talking, you know.